Hey everyone, it's Will from Protect Thacker Pass. I'm standing a few miles west in Thacker Pass, a few miles west of the occupation. Um, you might have read in some of our writing that BLM issued another 24-hour notice that warned us that they could bring criminal charges against us if we didn't vacate the area. In other words, they could arrest us, and if we were arrested, it's almost certain that a judge would only release us on the condition that we not return to the occupation, possibly even not associate with the protest. And um, if we would come back to the occupation, then and we were arrested, then it's almost certain that we wouldn't be released until our criminal charges were resolved, which could end up being weeks in jail. And if we don't want to plead guilty to something, it would mean that we have to be in jail until we are tried. So we decided that without construction immediately imminent, and while we're trying to build the occupation up, we figured it was best that we not get arrested right now, and save an arrest for later when it's probably going to be more needed. That's not to say that we will be looking to get arrested, trying to get arrested. Both Max and I feel very strongly that we should be trying to come up with tactics that stop projects without us having to go to jail. But right now, that's neither here nor there because the construction is not immediately imminent. However, I wanted to share some reflections. I've been holed up in a hotel in Winnemucca for the last few nights, and I really miss Thacker Pass. I really miss being out here for as cold and windy as it can get, and as muddy as it can get. Thacker Pass really has a way of sinking into your soul, and also your soul has a way of really sinking into Thacker Pass. Those two realities seem to operate simultaneously. I'm really thinking about that right now because I've been working a lot on legal stuff and legal arguments for how we can keep BLM off our asses, that kind of thing. And even though I am a lawyer, I often describe myself as a self-hating lawyer. I don't really like practicing law, and one of the primary reasons I don't like practicing law is one of the very basic assumptions, one of the very basic premises of American law and all Western law for that matter, is that the natural world is only an object, that the beings who fill the natural world are only property, and they only exist for humans to use or destroy as they see fit for their own benefit. This makes it incredibly unlikely that any real change, and especially the big kinds of radical change that we need, will happen in a time frame that really makes sense or helps the natural world. But I think what I really wanted to talk about was this feeling of being, really boxed in and caged in the hotel. This, the anxiety and stress that comes with trying to come up with legal arguments in a short period of time. The amount of time you spend in front of your computer on Google Scholar or Westlaw or LexisNexis trying to research cases and reading through, opinion after opinion. And you might not believe this, but judges' opinions, the decisions that they write for cases, are not the most riveting literature that has ever graced the planet. But I also understand, I feel like maybe this is pertinent. So many of us are feeling really caged in and really isolated by the pandemic. Maybe even before the pandemic, many of us living in urban areas, living in apartments, living in small suburban houses, surrounded by um, human-made things, surrounded by a totally anthropocentric world and habitat. Um, I think that a lot of us really struggle with that feeling, and I've been struggling with that feeling the last few days. I think one reason that we really struggle with that feeling is evolutionarily, we're not supposed to live in little boxes. We didn't evolve to be caged animals. We evolved to be animals that ranged all over the natural world. We were really built to walk and run, and even if we really want to get radical about it, it's probably also true that we only evolved to really know and live in communities of around 100 or 150 other humans. And I've read what I think is pretty convincing arguments that perhaps at the heart of many of our psychological issues is we're just surrounded by far too many people, and a part of our brain just can't handle it. Um, so with that feeling, um, I walked up here. I actually have never been up to this part of Thacker Pass, and I find it to be stunningly beautiful. I've also found it to be exactly what I needed to step out of that stressful mindset, out of the anxiety of legal work, out of the artificial human portal that is researching things on the internet. But when I got up here, I also started to think about how incredibly lucky I am that I'm able to come out to places like this, that I'm able to set down my work and step out of the hotel room and get some fresh air and relate to places like this and be in places like this. But at the same time that I'm grateful, and at the same time that I realize I'm lucky, it dawns on me that it's really strange for humans. It's really only been, the last few generations that humans would really consider themselves lucky to be out in the natural world. And the reason that it's become unusual or something that is kind of a treat for us is because humans have come to dominate so much of the landscape. So much of the world is being converted to human use. Cities are growing ever larger. The big industrial rural areas, the big agricultural areas are growing ever larger. Even out here, there's a barbed wire fence right behind me that, reminds us of the cattle ranching and some of the environmental problems with ranching. And even though you probably can't hear through the camera here, there's already been 3 or 4 jets, airplanes flying overhead that disturb the stillness, and there have been several semi trucks going down Highway 293. But I just am really thinking about how good of medicine the natural world is and always has been. How this wide open landscapes are what humans evolved to need. But even more importantly, these landscapes are home to so many other creatures who who don't who don't walk out of their hotels and take a pleasurable stroll up the mountainside for fresh air. They live here and they require this habitat. They need these places to survive. This is their home. So just like if a giant came and stepped on the hotel while I was in the hotel room and squashed me, it's very similar to a mining excavator coming and destroying, the homes of rabbits and mice and rats and birds and foxes and coyotes. But another thing that I've been thinking about is what I think is kind of an important point for Thacker Pass. The electric cars that the lithium batteries would, that Thacker Pass is being mined for. A lot of people think, that those electric cars are the solution to climate change, and I think a lot of people don't understand that there may be even more pressing problems than climate change, habitat destruction being one of them. Many people know that we're in the midst of the sixth mass extinction. It's the worst extinction event that the world has ever seen, and it's happening at a rate faster than any of the other ones. And of course, it's caused by humans. But the primary driver of the sixth mass extinction is direct habitat destruction. It's the destruction of places like where I'm at right now. It's the degradation of the land that so many beings require. And so I just was reflecting on that, and as much as humans need wide open space, so many other species really, really need this open space. I don't even like the term open space. I wish I wasn't using it. This isn't open space. That connotes some blank area where there is no life, but this area that I'm standing in is teeming with life. It's really a very full place. It's a place that is home to so many creatures, and they need places like these, and these places are becoming ever more rare, and that's why we have to stand up and stop destruction from happening where it's happening. We need to get very, very strategic and quickly and decisively prevent all of these projects from happening. I think that will be the best way to protect as much life as possible, but also give the planet the best chance to heal and recover for what's happened to her already. So I'll leave you with a little bit closer look around this area, and I hope that maybe it helps you feel less caged in. And if it doesn't, I hope you use that caged in feeling to really let some anger smolder inside of you, and maybe use that anger to really spur you into bravery that you never thought was possible. Have a great day.